Hello, everyone. Thank you for making it out here. Again, I know it's a little bit of short notice. So to introduce myself, I'm Sergeant Phil Krinsky. I'm one of our public information officers with the Public Affairs Bureau. So with me up here is Interim Police Chief Michael Sullivan and Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell. The purpose of this conference today is to provide some information, some video, some photographs regarding a recent arrest of 3 individuals that are involved in an organized retail theft ring and also recovery of a substantial amount of stolen property. So first, Chief Sullivan will provide some information regarding this investigation, followed by County Attorney Rachel Mitchell, who will give some more insight into the prosecution. So, Chief.
Thanks, Phil. Good afternoon, everybody. We all know that organized retail theft has become big business, not just here in Phoenix, but around the country. And what we can tell you here today is here in Phoenix, if you engage in organized retail theft, we're going to hold you accountable. The partnership that we have with our detectives working these cases and the prosecution of the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, we don't stand for this type of activity here in Phoenix. So our property crimes unit for the past couple of years has been working diligently to impact this problem. And today we're here to talk about some of that work and how that's paid off. The investigation that you're about to hear about was dubbed Operation Makeup Breakup. It took a lot of time, effort, and passion for our detectives. And I want to seriously and just thank the detectives of the Property Crimes Bureau for seeing this through. They put their hearts and souls into this investigation. It was a 6-month investigation and involved 32 individual search warrants and resulted in 3 arrests and the recovery of more than $500,000 in stolen property. I also have to thank some of our retail and business partners, including Ulta Beauty, Target, Sephora, Bath & Body Works, to name just a few. I appreciate the partnership we have with our County Attorney, Rachel Mitchell, and her office to work collaboratively with our investigators. I also want to thank the County Attorney and those in our office who collectively and collaboratively worked with our investigators early on to ensure these suspects are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. These individuals are facing several felony charges, which I will allow the County Attorney to explain, but I hope that this sends a strong message that we are committed to investigating and arresting individuals of all crimes and thefts of this magnitude, and this type of behavior will not be tolerated in Phoenix. County Attorney, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. As many of you know, tackling organized retail crime is a priority of my administration because of the impact that it has not only on businesses but on communities. The case which Chief Sullivan has described is being handled by the prosecutors in my office, 2 of whom are standing to my right, Frank Woods and Doug Mangum, who spend a lot of their time handling cases just like these, to show the community that we are very serious about these types of offenses and it is not acceptable behavior in Maricopa County. They are part of the Organized Retail Theft Task Force, which I created or modified actually back in 2022 when I took over as county attorney, and I want to thank you guys for working diligently along with your staffs and others within the task force to obtain the necessary information that you need to prosecute and hold these people accountable. This was an elaborate scheme that these women engineered in order to stock their makeshift stores inside their homes. To date, we know 12 pallets of items have been collected, counted, and assessed in value. Over $500,000 worth of stolen merchandise was collected from these homes. The 3 women indicted in these cases are facing Class 2 and 3 felonies. Of course, it's my duty to point out that charges are not evidence and people are presumed innocent until proven guilty in court. But these are very serious charges that could land them in prison for a number of years. So today I'm announcing that we have indicted the following people. Alejandro Reyes Torres has been indicted on 1 count of illegal control of an enterprise, which is a Class 3 felony, and 4 counts of trafficking and stolen property, which are Class 2 felonies. Guadalupe Gamez Moreno has been indicted on 1 count of illegal control of an enterprise, a Class 3 felony, and 1 count of trafficking stolen property, a Class 2 felony. And Jennifer Reyes, who is the daughter of Alejandra, also stands indicted on 1 count of illegal control of an enterprise, a Class 3 felony. We need to pay particular attention to this kind of crime, specifically on a scale such as this. It affects everyone's bottom line. Retailers will offset their losses, which can mean that we who are law-abiding citizens are going to pay higher prices. Police work and prosecution of the kind we're talking about today is just one example of the great work that's helping us curb this problem in our community. So Chief Sullivan, I want to thank you and your police officers for your hard work in this case, putting this case together. Not guilty arraignments for these defendants were earlier this week, and right now their trial dates are set for the fall. And in summary, earlier I mentioned my Organized Retail Theft Task Force, which we have on our website. Just want to give you an idea of the workload of that task force. From January 1st of this year to today, we have had 271 cases submitted to our office on organized retail theft, which represents a total of 857 charges submitted. All that, and there's 8 months to go in this year. And on another note, there is a bill that will create the opportunity for longer sentences for repeat offenders in organized retail crime. It is currently on its way to the governor's desk, and we will be communicating with her, urging her to sign this bill. And that is Senate Bill 1414. And with that, are there any questions related to this investigation that either the chief or I can answer? Chief.
Do you mind going through the process of how these ladies operated, and in particular how I see them putting things in their carts, but how they got out of the store?
Certainly, we have the detectives here that will speak to the specifics around the case, but they essentially set up storefronts, after stealing items from all these stores, and then reselling them out of their homes. So,
how does this case compare to other cases similar like this in terms of dollar amount? Is this one of the biggest ones you've seen, or is it par course for other cases like it?
Well, it is certainly one of the larger amounts, but unfortunately it doesn't stand alone. Just riding over here, I was hearing of another case involving about $300,000 worth of theft. So this is a massive problem in our community, and we're determined to put an end to it.
Is there an idea of how long this operation had been going?
I think the detectives will be able to give you a lot more information on the details.
Mitchell, you mentioned some of the numbers of how many cases you see, but since you've started your task force, have you noticed a decline, an incline, since your messaging about, not tolerating this has started for a couple months ago?
I think one of the things that we're seeing is because it was a modification, we modified the amount downward so we could start getting people at an earlier level. So we're seeing that kind of thing happen, and I think people are being more cooperative to report it, and certainly the police are busy investigating it because they realize that they have a county attorney's office that will put these cases together and prosecute them and hold people accountable. We've also seen bonds go up. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to confirm. So you are saying you've seen these the reporting go up?
Yes.
And is that from the stores themselves?
I would say that it's from the stores, yes, because they're the ones that have to, they are the victims technically of the crime, and they realize that there is a county attorney and a police department that are going to investigate and hold these people accountable. So yes. Listen.
Talking about lowering the dollar threshold here,
Mhm.
can you explain that? Because there's two different possible. There's a shoplifting crime,
Mhm.
right? And that can sometimes be a felony. But then there's organized retail theft, which is shoplifting, my understanding is for resale. And so did both of those amounts come down, or?
It had nothing to do with the law. What it had to do with the threshold within the office by which a case was referred to the Organized Retail Theft Task Force. So we lowered that amount so that specialists in that area could take a look at those cases at a lower level, because we recognize that, a lot of these thefts none of these thefts involved $500,000 at a time. They involve a theft here and a theft here. And so we wanted to get that at an earlier threshold, if you will. So we lowered the threshold so that our specialists could get their hands on it sooner.
From what to what?
I believe it was, correct me if I'm wrong, $25,000, and we lowered it to $5,000.
Have the operations changed over the years that you can tell, or is it just what you're doing behind the scenes?
I mean, this has been a problem for a number of years, but I think we've all seen it ramp up over the since COVID. We've seen what feels like, anecdotally, more of this going on. And if you look, it's not just here in the Phoenix area, but it's around the country that you see this kind of activity happening.
People steal stuff and resell it all the time, right? So why is this any different?
Yeah, well, I would say $500,000 in a storefront in somebody's house. I would say that this is something that doesn't necessarily happen all the time. I mean, this is a significant case.
People steal cars, they chop them up, resell them. I mean, probably millions of dollars involved in that.
Yeah, and the detectives worked with our prosecutors for 6 months because this is affecting, I don't know if anybody's been to some of these stores buying some of these items, but they're expensive. I can tell you, I have a wife and a daughter, and the retail price of makeup that they pay is significant, and that is born because of the amount of theft that's being done out there. So I think it's an important thing that we do address.
Where were they located? What was this operation?
I'll stop it there. I want to keep my promise to you guys to make sure you get the next appointment. So our investigators are going to come up right now and give me answers.
Melissa, do you have something else?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just have a kind of a couple of general questions about organized retail theft, right? Like, how much of the onus falls on the stores themselves? I mean, this is like, Target and stuff, for them to put their own security things on these high-priced small items, or to better watch their stores, or have better security in general to try to catch these folks before they do something like this?
Absolutely, stores should do things that are smart to protect their products. However, we need to hold the people that are committing crimes accountable. We shouldn't not hold somebody accountable committing a crime just because they could walk out with certain items. I mean, we see some boldness that is happening among folks today that we didn't see 5-10 years ago. So certainly stores have responsibilities, but I'm going to put the responsibility on the people that are actually committing the crime.
Yes.
Why do we get these?
The law that is going to the governor's desk is specifically geared toward organized retail theft. These are criminal enterprise and fraud schemes types of charges. This is for the people who are stealing this to supply it to the fences. These people acted kind of in both capacities. And what that will do is it will treat individuals who are doing it time and time again but aren't caught until, let's say, the 10th time. We won't have to treat them as a first-time offender just because they weren't caught until after, let's say, 10 times.
So in this law, the SB 1414 allows somebody who's committed 10 offenses and then they go to trial once to be sentenced like it's a third offense?
Basically, if they are stealing retail items in order to resell them, it will allow us to impose a higher range of sentences on them toward the latter end of those offenses. So in other words, not the first offense, but we won't have to treat like the third and the fourth offense as a first-time offense.
Aren't there laws against fencing? And this is basically what it is, right? It's selling stolen property.
Yes, that's what they're charged with.
There are laws against fencing, right?
And this increases the penalty.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you guys have additional questions for the county attorney and for the chief, please send them over to me. I'll make sure they get them answered. But thank you both for being here. So next, I'd like to bring up, actually the detectives and the supervisors are involved in this investigation. So if I can have detectives Mark Holson, Lisa Spear, Jacob Kellender, Sergeant Sean Clark, and Lieutenant Karen Hudson come over and join me up here. Yes, so just for some housekeeping on this, As you can see, I have some videos loop. You guys can come up here with me. As you can see on the video loops up there that we have, I will be providing all this information in the media advisory. You'll have your versions of it and also the photographs here as well, as long as with the spelling with everybody's name that's come up here today. So I'll make sure that's included. But as far as the videos you're looking, this is the result of the investigation that includes the search warrants. As you can see, surveillance video from some of these individuals gathering those items and again later selling them for these fences. It's also going to have some of the booking photographs as well, and also these storefronts that they have over at those residences. Well, without any further ado, I'll have the detectives come up and you guys will get some summaries of what happened.
Good afternoon. I am Detective Mark Holtzen with the Phoenix Police Organized Retail Crimes Detail. My squad is fully dedicated to combating retail crime in our community. Organized retail crime absolutely is organized crime. It has multiple layers. And just to make sure to start, I'd like to familiarize everyone with a couple of terms that I'm going to be using. These are terms that we regularly use in this realm. So the term booster refers to somebody who goes into a retail store and steals merchandise. And the term fence refers to somebody who is selling those stolen items. Operation Makeup Breakup has been a 6-month investigation into a large fencing operation here locally. These 3 subjects who were arrested, Alejandra, Jennifer, and Guadalupe, were buying and selling large volumes of stolen cosmetic merchandise. These 3 are directly connected to hundreds of thousands of dollars in theft. Over the past couple years, my squad has investigated and arrested numerous cosmetic boosters. When we do booster investigations, we know that they are likely not acting alone. Over the course of those investigations, we discovered that several of our boosters were selling the stolen cosmetics directly to these 3. When we made those connections, we realized that we needed to launch a thorough investigation into their operation. So, the result of our investigation over the past 6 months is that we learned that these women were not just buying stolen cosmetics. In fact, they were orchestrating the thefts. They would go so far as to give their boosters shopping lists so that they would know exactly what merchandise they were supposed to steal and how much they would be paid for it. Sometimes they had stolen cosmetics shipped in from out of state. They then turned around and they sold the stolen cosmetics for a profit. As you will see in the photos and in the video, each of them had a portion of their home that was turned into a retail space or a storefront where they could sell the cosmetics. The photos here are the largest of those storefronts. They had an entire room set up that looked just like a retail store. All of these items were being sold below retail prices. They also sold cosmetics online. They would do shipping locally and to other states. Some of those cosmetics that got shipped out later got transported to different countries to be resold. On March 28th, 2024, we arrested Alejandra, Guadalupe, and Jennifer, and we served search warrants on their 3 homes. The combined result of those 3 homes yielded the recovery of over 20,000 new in-box cosmetic items with a value of just over $560,000. We certainly could not have had a successful investigation of this magnitude if we didn't have a lot of help. As investigators, we regularly work with other local law enforcement agencies and with our partners on the retail side. In this investigation alone, we have countless people to thank from our own department, from retail stores, and we are certainly grateful for the support we get from the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. I'm certainly open to questions, whether it's about this investigation or retail crime in general.
Do we have a nationality of these individuals? Were they originally from here, or have we seen in the past is individuals that come from other countries to commit this type of crime?
I don't know 100% those details. I can tell you those are not factors that we consider in an investigation, regardless of race, gender, age, socioeconomic status. We only really investigate the crime that we see, and so I don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry.
Where were they arrested? Like, where in the valley? Can you give us a general idea?
I can tell you that 2 of the 3 storefronts were in West Phoenix, and 1 of them was out in Tonopah.
It seems like it was a pretty thought out investigation, and really thought out operation. Is there an idea of how long this had been going on?
We know that at least Alejandra and Jennifer had been selling cosmetics for 5 years. It appears at the beginning the operation was not the same size that it is today, but we do know that it went on for 5 years.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you know, is this primarily how they make their, most of their money from?
That is a very good question.
From like the stores, right? Or the like in-house stores?
Like where they get, are you talking most of their income? I'm going to give you 2 answers because I think both are relevant. Jennifer has real employment. She has a job that she goes to, and this would only supplement her income. Alejandra and Guadalupe, this crime was their full-time job. They had no formal employment. It was just this criminal network that was funding them. In regards to where a majority of it was, it appears that local in-person sales at their storefront was not a majority of the sales. A majority of it was bulk items being shipped out of state, and bulk items that were picked up or shipped to be taken out of country.
Was it a profitable business? Was it successful?
Yes, it was very profitable for them for sure.
Do you know, 2 questions. Do you know how Alejandra and Jennifer were related to Guadalupe? Was it a friendship or?
They are friends. I don't know when they met or how they met or anything like that, but they are friends.
And then also, in a part of the investigation, I'm sure there were undercover situations. Did you guys watch as, people would go in and out of these storefronts? Were you able to catch anyone actually in the process of buying these stolen goods?
In regards to the specifics of the investigation, I'm not going to get into many of those specifics. I appreciate the question, but I will choose to not answer that.
Is there any indication if the people who were buying these items knew they were illegally sourced?
I think the indication clearly tells us that some people knew that they were buying stolen items, and some people presumably thought that this was completely legitimate when they were buying it.
Two things. How bold is this? I mean, you have a whole store in your house, and the amount of product that must have been coming in is amazing. How did they think they weren't going to get caught?
I don't know, but I'm glad that they were.
And then, how did you crack the case per se? Was one shoplifter caught that then turned that around, or was it
So,
through social media or however they're selling this online?
So I think the easiest way to answer that is we arrest lots of boosters. It is not a secret that retail crime is a big problem in our community and the rest of the country. We don't stop investigating once somebody gets arrested. If somebody is a booster, we are always trying to look into who they may be selling to, and there's various ways that we can do that. But when we had several different boosters not connected to each other that were all selling to this group, that's how we knew to focus on them.
You guys mentioned a couple of stores that you guys worked with to find out where they were stealing from. Can you go into detail about maybe like brands or what stores they targeted or what parts of the valley these boosters were targeting?
They quite frankly targeted just about every cosmetic item that's out there. There was a significant focus on the more expensive brands of cosmetics. The businesses that we knew were targeted by their group early on. We knew that Sephora, Ulta, and Target. Throughout the investigation, we identified at least a dozen businesses that were affected by this group. From memory, I know Walgreens, Walmart, Target, Ulta, Sephora, Macy's, Dillard's, CVS. I know I'm missing some, but just about any retail store that sells cosmetics in one way or another was affected by this group.
Can you, do you know about how many boosters this group employed too, or bought stuff from?
We are still investigating that. Like I mentioned, we knew of several going into this investigation. This investigation is ongoing, and we have identified other leads into people who may be additional boosters that we had not connected to them yet, and we are going to continue investigating that.
Just real quick, someone asked a question earlier of the chief and the county attorney, but you know, as someone who deals with this on a day-to-day basis, looking at these pictures, you know, what are your thoughts on how this compares to some of the others that you guys have investigated?
This is the biggest investigation I've ever been a part of. I know that there are other fencing operations in Phoenix. Most of them are not near this magnitude. So if that answers, it's certainly the biggest one I've done.
Would these pop up on like an eBay type situation, or do they have their own website to sell it?
So they did use multiple online selling platforms. So I don't know if I want to get into exactly which ones, but it was certainly, there are a lot of platforms where you can sell things online legitimately, and they use several of them.
Common things we have heard of before? Probably.
Yeah.
Can you kind of describe how these boosters oftentimes steal from stores? We've seen a lot of surveillance videos in other states where they kind of barge in, grab a bunch of things, run out. Is it a little bit different here in Arizona? Do people try to put items in their purse, or how does it kind of work?
We see a wide variety of the different ways that boosters steal things. Many of the boosters are doing so in a discreet or secretive manner, or at least attempting to. So we do see lots of boosters who are trying to conceal merchandise while they're inside the store, hoping that nobody sees them. But we also see some that are so bold that they will fill a shopping cart with whatever they want and push it right out the door, regardless of whether or not someone tries to stand in their way.
If other local businesses were to be buying from them, they also be held responsible. And as a shopper or a customer shopping online, how can we identify if the items being sold could possibly be stolen?
Excellent, thank you for asking. So the first question of could people buying from them be held responsible? If anybody knowingly is buying stolen property, they know that this is all stolen and they still choose to buy it, that is against the law. However, like I said, I think a lot of people were buying from them having no idea. And so a way to, really a message for the public to look out for is when you see new condition merchandise items sold in bulk, but cheaper than any retail store can carry it, you need to be very cautious because there could be a criminal element. I can't imagine that 3 individuals have more buying power than national corporations, so it is a red flag when someone is selling an item cheaper than the store does.
One question, because I asked.
On that note, Detective, thank you very much. Actually, we'll have an opportunity to. I want to thank you guys very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. So you're going to have the opportunity to send us questions afterwards. I'll be more than happy to get an answer for you. Okay. All right. So again, I want to thank everybody for coming, and again, it's a very important investigation that they did. It's still ongoing, so obviously there's some limited information still that they were able to provide. But I will send out a video clip of this, and again, any questions that you didn't have answered yet, please send them my way, and we'll make sure we'll get those answered for you. Thank you, everybody.